Hi, this is the first of a series of videos where we're going to explore in some detail operational and tactical level planning with the Program Planner 4. Now, there's a series of videos already set up where we look at strategic modelling in some detail, and I strongly advise you to have a look through those first, because the detail work that we do here in this operational tactical level planning builds upon all the concepts that we introduced over here in the strategic planning. So before we get started with all the details of exactly how we're going to do this planning, let's remind ourselves a little bit of what the differences are between these three different types of plan. Now, all three have exactly the same optimization objective. In each case, we're trying to maximize your long-term profit. And to do that, each of these modeling approaches uses exactly the same methodology. They're all using a sales and profit response approach in order to reach that recommendation for your maximum long-term profit. But the application, the business application, if you like, of these three approaches is different. And we're going to explore those or remind ourselves about them right now. So let's have a look or remind ourselves about strategic planning. Now, with strategic planning, the business objective here is really sales force sizing. That's what the strategic plans are all about. And to do that, we load it with product information. So we have really just that product dimension. And in order to reach our conclusion, this strategic level modeling is essentially finance driven. We are looking at our ROI, we're looking at our long-term profit, but we are doing this from a financial perspective. Now, when we do this, because we're only looking essentially at product level data, the quality of the sizing result that we get here is really, well, let's call it directional. It gives us a pretty good idea of where we are. Are we about the right size? Are we too big? Are we too small? It gives us a good directional sense of where we should be. Now, one thing we also need to take into account here is that when we are doing this sales force sizing, we're also going to assume that all of our other promotional investment, let me put it in the bottom here like this, all the other promotional investment is going to remain as input on our templates. So we're not going to go into the detail of creating a new plan for all the other promotional investments. We're simply concentrating on the sales force and the sales force size. So that's strategic planning. So how does that differ from operational planning and tactical planning, which we're going to look at in much more detail now? Well, operational planning also focuses on sales force sizing, but it also includes the sales force structure. So to do that, we need to load more information. We need product information. We need customer information. And we also need team information, because that's going to help us drive the structure aspect of the recommendation that we're going to get. Now, whilst we are looking at all the same finance parameters to come up with our recommendation, the operational level planning is more reach and frequency driven than it is finance driven. So we're going to create here a much more detailed level plan, looking at the reach and frequency of our sales force on all the different customers with all the different products that we are carrying. So there's a different focus here, much more granular, much more detailed. So instead of giving us a directional quality answer, it's going to give us a very accurate answer. Okay. And one thing we must bear in mind is that the answer we get here is not going to be the same as this one. In fact, it's likely to be a little smaller than the answer we get here, simply because with all the extra information we can dive in a little more deeply and find all those extra efficiencies. So it's much more likely that our sizing recommendation here is going to be a little smaller than it is in the strategic level plan. So what does that mean for the other promotional investment? Well, this is exactly the same here. All the other promotional investments are going to remain as they were when you input. We're not going to go into any kind of detailed level planning here and trying to come up with specific plan for all your other investments. So that takes us on to tactical planning. And what's different about that? Well, this is quite difficult because what we're going to do here is we're going to create a full multi-channel marketing plan. Now, what does that do? Well, that means that we're going to plan our sales force. Yep, absolutely. We're going to look at the sales force structure. Absolutely, just as we do in the operational plan. But we're going to add into that all of the other promotional channels. And we're going to look in some detail at how we might want to invest in all those other promotional channels, which makes it a multi-channel marketing plan. So there's its name. So what do we need for that? Well, of course, we need the product information. We need the customer information. We need our team information. But we also need all the other promotional channel details. So we have a lot of data to add in there, and we're adding in essentially all the promotional channel details. So what is this driven? Well, this is really very much driven by our tactical approach. So this is all about tactical planning. This is combining the sales force with all the other channels and how we might use the synergies between those different channels to maximize and define our go-to-market marketing approach. So this is very tactically driven, hence its name. So what does that give for its recommendations? Well, it also gives you a very accurate sizing result. In fact, it's going to give you the same result as you're going to get here. But the difference is in this part here, because we are definitely now going to look at an in-depth plan for all the other promotional channels to give us this multi-channel marketing approach. So it is not the case with the tactical level plan that the other promotional investment data will stay as it was input, as it was in your original base case plan. Here we're going to essentially create a new one from scratch. We're going to use the data that you provided and your budget information for all your other promotional investments, but we're going to put that aside and we're going to create a brand new multi-channel plan which will work in combination with the Salesforce plan that we're going to put together. So that describes the 3 different levels of planning, and in this series of videos we're going to take the operational and tactical level plans together, because for the main part they are extremely similar, and the way in which you go about the actual planning within the Promo Planner tool is very similar in both cases. It's only the part at the bottom here where we start looking at all the other promotional investments in detail where there is a difference. So we're going to take those 2 together. So the first thing we're going to need to do now is create a model, create a Promo Planner 4 database with all the data set up so that we can start planning at these levels. So let's get on and do that. So all of our planning projects are going to start with data collection, of course, and where the Promo Planner 4 is concerned, that means starting with the data collection template. And here it is. This is the data collection template, and as you will see, we have filled in all of the dark grey tabs. These are the strategic level tabs. We need all those to be filled in. We've also filled in all of the operational level tabs. These are the yellow ones. There's the customer universe set up here, and then if I move along a little bit, we have all the other operational level tabs that we need you to complete. And because in this series of videos I'm going to look at the tactical level plans at the same time, I have also filled in all of the blue tabs. So here they are, the tabs concerning all the other promotional investments, where we break it down into some detail. So I have in this template every one of the tabs filled and completed. Now, if you want any extra information on these tabs and exactly what data you need to fill in and how to fill it in and who needs to fill it in, please go and look through our data collection series of videos, where a video has been created for each one of these tabs showing you exactly what you need to do. So now that I have this template completely filled out, and I've used all the quality control elements that are built within it to make sure that everything is consistent and validates across the different tabs. Now that all that's done, what do I need to do? Well, I need to load it into a Promo Planner database. So let's do that. I'm going to close down the template and open the Promo Planner itself. Here we go. Start planning. And the Promo Planner starts. So what I'm going to do when this is running, here we go, is I'm going to create a brand new database. And to do that, I'm going to go up to the files area. I'm going to create a new file. And I'm going to call it MCM Demo Database. There we go. Now I'm going to press the create button and that will get created for me. There we go. So now that that's done, I can start to open it out. It'll go straight to the basic settings. Here we go. I'm going to change the name of the project. I'm going to give it the same as the file name, MCM Demo Database. And whilst I'm here, I'm going to change the currency to GB pounds. I'm going to leave the first year to optimize as 2009, but I'm going to change the optimization weighting to 100% for 2019, because I'm going to create a plan just for 2019, and I'm going to leave everything else the same. I'm going to have a drive profit optimization goal. I'm going to leave the default weighting at the exact fit for the moment, and I'm going to keep my auto budget, my marketing auto budget, at the fat amount. So that's my basic settings. So that's done, and I can go about loading the data itself. And to do that, I use the auto import and setup option. So here we go. I'm going to click that. I'm going to load my operational data template, the template we looked at a moment ago. And as it's a brand new database, Promo Planner is telling me I'm ready to import. So I'm going to select the file. Now that's on the J drive for me, so I better move to the J drive. Here we go. J drive, and it's in here, and that's the template there. Off we go. Importing the file. Give it a few minutes, and there we go. It's loaded 29 products, 32 customer specialties, 10 teams, and 10 advertising channels. So it's loaded all the dimensions that I need, and that's great. So I can go to the home button, and I can have a look inside the prepare data, and I can check that those things are there. So let's have a look. Has the strategic data been loaded? Well, yep, sales forecast is there, cost of goods is there, other promotional expenditures is there. Yep, so all that is there. Have we loaded the operational data? Do we have historical team activity? Yes, we do. The numbers are there. Do we have the possible call frequencies? Yes, we do for the teams. Do we have our grid that shows which products can be carried by which team? Yes, we have all of that. So we have the operational data. Do we have the tactical data? Let's have a look. Do we have budgets for the untargeted promotional channels? Yes, we do. We have 3 channels there. And let's have a look for the targeted channels. Oh, yep, we have rather more channels here, and we have budgets. And finally, we have the customers being covered for those targeted channels. Yes, so all of that data is loaded. Now, we're not quite done, because with our operational and our tactical models, we've loaded the customer dimension, and as we've loaded the customer dimension, we also need to load customer landscape data. So let's do that. Let's go back to the auto import and setup. This time we're going to load the customer landscape template. Now, it's worth me mentioning while we're here, if you look at some of these labels on these options here, they have little bricks with them, and they're colored. And if you're very observant, you'll notice that these actually match the color of the tabs on our data entry templates. So the grey ones there and the yellow ones here for the customer landscape. So do bear in mind that all of these things have been considered to try and make things easy for you to remember what needs to be loaded with which. So excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and load the customer landscape template now. So it's asking me to do that. I've got to go and show it where those files are. So let me go and tell it. It's on the Dre drive. It's in this directory here. There we go. Here are my customer landscape files, one for each of the products. So I am going to select that folder. There we go. And the Program Planner is now going to look through all of them, check them, make sure that they are valid, make sure that they are in fact customer landscape files and that they hold the right data and that everything has been completed. So if I look carefully, I know there are 29 products and all 29 products seem to be ready to be imported. It tells me that they're all 29 are ready to import and everything is lit up green. So that's all perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and import all of that. So I'll give it a few seconds now for it to go through all 29 files and load that data. There it goes. There we go. All done. Everything is green. No products to be imported. No error messages being presented. So if I go back here to the data, I can have a look very specifically now at the customer landscape data and check in here. Business drivers. Yep, I have that data loaded. And what shall I look at? Let's have a look at the pharmacy influence. Yep, that's all there. And well, everything else is going to be there too. So all of the customer landscape data is loaded. So we now have a fully loaded database. Not only is all the data there, but we have all of the products set up. There we go. There are no avatars as yet because I've not told them what they are. I've got my customer specialties and I've got my teams. There we go. And I've got all my other promotional channels. Now these have all been set up in order that I will be able to do my tactical plans a little bit later on. If I don't want to do a tactical plan and I'm happy just for my business application to stop at the operational planning level, then I didn't have to fill in those last blue tabs in the data template and they would not have been loaded here, and these will have been this table here, for example, would be empty. But we have done that because I'm going to take the operational and tactical planning together in this video. So here we are, we're all set up to go. So the next thing for us to do is actually create the plan. So just before we do that, I'm going to take a moment or two and add some avatars to the products and to all the customer specialties so that everything looks pretty and is complete. So we're ready to do the planning board. I'll be back with you in just a moment. So that's all done now. For my products, all the avatars have been set up there they are, and I've done the same for the customer specialties, all set up there. For the teams, their avatars, and I've done the avatars for all the different promotional channels too. So all of that is set up. Now I'm ready to go and start my planning, and if I want to, before I do that, I can go into my strategic view, and all of those strategic view assessments are there for me. The carryover is there, the promotional ROI is there, the optimized field force size is there using my drive profit optimization goal. I can go in and optimize those numbers. Here we go. Let's do it just for fun. There we go. Optimizing now. There's the optimal allocation all done for me. And if I want to look at that in some detail, I've got my butterfly graph options to do that. So now I'm all set to start doing the plan. And to do the plan, I need the planning board. So I click on the planning board, and well, here we are. Here is the planning board. So I'm going to take you through how to use this in some detail now, and I'm going to do that in a new video. So if you come back in a few moments and watch the second video in this series, I'll show you how to use the planning board. Thank you very much.